Do you guys honestly believe that the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department both were oblivious to the fact that what they were doing was further adding to inflation by printing trillions of dollars and keeping interest rates low? I mean, do you think that they had no clue that we would be in this position today? Just comment a quick yes or no on that one. I'm asking for a friend because more people are asking the same question. Are they trying to crash the economy on purpose? I mean, it feels orchestrated to some point, and what's worse is that it's expected to hit a whole lot of banks very hard. Now, the Fed also just raised interest rates again, and so this means that housing will become even harder for people to achieve, to purchase. Credit card bills are going to see a spike in interest rates. Getting loans are going to be that much tougher. Layoffs will become more and more inevitable. And just imagine how hard it's going to be for those on Social Security. You know, it's kind of like the increase that they got for 2023. It meant nothing at all. Financial freedom has never felt this far away for a lot of people, and it's sad just to see how disconnected officials are to our situation. I mean, do you guys feel the same way? You guys should know that more fear has been injected into the population as Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen pretty much said that we can't guarantee all U.S. bank deposits. I mean, that's a huge problem since it's only going to push depositors to take their money from the small banks onto the bigger banks. Now, we're also seeing more layoffs while unemployment claims continue to shrink. Wait. How does that even make sense? Now, before I continue, please take a second, smash the like button for the video. It totally helps out with the YouTube algorithm and encourages me to keep making content that you guys deserve and enjoy every single day. And if you're new here and you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to Social Security, SSI, SSDI, the state of our economy, the housing market, the stock market, what's really going on in Washington, D.C., that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And for the best way to invest in gold, hit the link in the description down below of this video. Who do you trust with your money? Serious question. Do you trust your parents with your money? Your kids, your siblings, your best friend, your wife, or your husband? Who do you trust the most with your hard-earned cash? Now, the obvious answer should be yourself. And if that isn't your answer, then this is a sign to take charge and learn how to manage your finances. But let's be honest, if anybody's going to take care of your investments, it should be you. We are now seeing collapses happen in the banking system, and it's only a matter of time until we see more. But if you trust Fed Chair Jerome Powell with your money, you don't have to worry about anything.
Our banking system is sound and resilient with strong capital and liquidity. We will continue to closely monitor conditions in the banking system and are prepared to use all of our tools as needed to keep it safe and sound.
Safe and sound, huh? I guess that's why the Fed needed to push out nearly $300 billion recently, because the banks are just so resilient. But right after, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, he said this.
We believe, however, that events in the banking system over the past 2 weeks are likely to result in tighter credit conditions for households and businesses, which would in turn affect economic outcomes. It is too soon to determine the extent of these effects, and therefore too soon to tell how monetary policy should respond.
You know what else tight credit conditions does? We're bound to see layoffs, less people being able to afford housing, and we may see small businesses file for bankruptcy. With more than 4,000 banks in our country, it's expected that hundreds of them could end up failing. That in turn will then lead to fewer mortgages, auto loans, credit cards, debit cards, which again begs the question, does the Fed realize what they're doing here? Do they actually realize the power that their decisions have on our lives? I mean, just take this one comment from U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. According to her, she has not even considered or even discussed a blanket insurance to U.S. banking deposits without approval by Congress.
Turning to the U.S. bank fallout, markets digesting mixed messages on banking deposits from both Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Yellen said before the Senate that she has not considered or discussed blanket insurance to U.S. banking depositors without approval from Congress. That happened at approximately 3 p.m. Eastern time yesterday, just after Powell said that the banking system was safe.
This in turn created more fear in the markets, and it's not going to be surprising to see smaller banks lose customers, as they in turn would want to have their money in bigger banks like JP Morgan Chase or even Bank of America for that matter. And you know what? Let's talk about our money. Think about how much purchasing power has been lost by the dollar due to inflation. I mean, think about those on Social Security who got the biggest increases in their COLA for 2023 or in decades that had their SNAP and EBTs cut. I mean, think about the amount of Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck and haven't seen their wages outpace inflation ever. So this is the sad state that many of us are in, and it's only made much more frustrating when it feels like nothing's being done to protect us. This is how many of us feel. And it's also why some experts are predicting that banks may see more runs down the road. Hedge fund manager Bill Ackman says that we are suffering self-inflicted wounds, and adds that the longer this bank banking crisis is allowed to continue, the greater the damage to small banks and their ability to access low-cost capital. Trust and confidence are earned over many years, but it can be wiped out in just a few days. I fear that we are heading for another train wreck. Hopefully our regulators will get this right." End quote. Tell me if you guys think that this is right. The number of Americans who are filing new claims for unemployment benefits have gone down. The forecast was for around 197,000 claims, but only 191,000 claims were actually filed. That really doesn't make much sense given the amount of layoffs that we're continuing to see. But let me just surf through some of them. So you got NBN, or the National Broadcast Network. They're going to lay off 500 people. Why? Well, according to them, it's to adjust their operational and funding strategies, especially with increased competition and even more borrowing pressure. Penske, the international trucking firm, is laying off 152 workers as they lost a bid for a transportation contract with Kroger. Yes, grocery store Kroger. Now, the Seattle-based travel giant Expedia Group also had layoffs and affected almost 100 employees. Now, just look at the tech industry. Even with them making good profits, some companies continue to let people go.
It's a lot of companies. Is it as simple as they simply added too many people during the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a big part of it, Tyler, is they just hired way too many people as a percentage of what they had before the pandemic started. Apple is the outlier. Let me just give you some numbers here real quick of the total number of mass layoffs we've seen across big tech. Amazon, with today's numbers, 27,000 gone. Meta, 21,000. Alphabet, 12,000. Microsoft, 10,000. Apple, big fat goose egg.
Microsoft is set to lay off 10,000 of its workers. Amazon is still set to let go 9,000 more workers, even though they already removed 18,000 employees early this year. Dell, the PC maker, laptop maker, they announced in February that they have plans to lay off 5% of their workforce, which is around 6,600 workers. But new claims for unemployment just keep going down? Why do you think so? Are these numbers being manipulated, or are they so low because a lot of people already exhausted their unemployment benefits during the health crisis and they're just kind of like falling off? Whatever the case may be, it really feels as if we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. And there are also more people saying that hours are being cut on their jobs. How else are we now supposed to make things work if this is the situation that we're in? But you guys know what's happening around you as well. Make sure you let me know what you're seeing in the comments down below. You know what the worst part is of all of this? It feels as if we're not even at the bottom yet. Like we're not even close. And since you're here at the end of this video, I want to talk to you guys about opportunities that might be able to help you out. Not many people realize it, but there are ways to strengthen your cash flow, and it's not impossible to get back to financial freedom as long as you're willing to learn. Now, if you guys want to learn more about that, feel free to join us over in the Patreon communities, where we discuss side hustles, small businesses, investments in the stock market, even real estate, basically methods and ways to potentially generate multiple streams of income. And for the best way to invest in gold, there's a link in the description down below this video. Now, before I go, guys, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video. Also, subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys on the next one.